So after 28 years of working for the police, trying to get people arrested on fingerprint evidence, for the last 14 years, my role has been to make sure that the evidence is without problem, without fault, and accurate. But overseas, I've been fortunate enough to either work or present in these countries. So my world domination is gradually getting there. But the only two continents I haven't worked on is Australasia and Antarctica. So I don't think I'll be getting much work out of Antarctica. My association with Nigeria started in 2009 when the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime asked me to help set up and train and mentor the fingerprint section of the EFCC. And as they're still going, and as I've seen their building recently, and I've seen the way that they work, that training obviously helped. There was a spate of disputes regarding elections over the years, and there probably will be in the future. And occasionally we would get work coming over to us in the UK in the form of thousands and thousands and thousands of voting slips to be manually looked at, and then a report written, and then somebody would go back over to Nigeria and present. But I've also done work, on-site electoral work in Asaba and nearby areas. An amazing experience, I have to say, but I'll come on to that in a bit. And in 2022, i.e. March this year, let me just look at my board to see the preparedness and the possibility of the 15 ECOWAS in Mauritania. And at the end, recommendations were made. It was individually assessed, and the three countries that got it was Benin, Togo, and the Gambia. But I was lucky enough to visit Gambia, Sierra Leone, Ghana, Nigeria, and Liberia in one go, which was absolutely incredible, and a nice part of the world. I do like that part of the world. Back in 2009, probably see some of the people that are sitting nearby you now, and this is me with my, I had to have bodyguards, but that was the first time that I had people looking after me with AK-47s. I since have had a personal bodyguard in Somaliland, not Somalia, but Somaliland, and also when I did some work in Afghanistan, there were people there with guns looking after me as well. So it's becoming more regular, which is very, very sad. When I've actually been there and looked, and taken my magnifying glass with me and sat there and just compared in a very, very noisy room with people scanning ballot forms into machines, and people shouting and swearing and fighting, and amazing. But my most amazing, and I use that word a lot because it is truly, truly amazing. The most amazing aspect was there was one small catchment area that I was looking at from the Asaba ones, and there was approximately 500 forms in the green see-through box, and over 420 were made by the same person, and that's a staggering number. But then, you know, I don't need to tell you to go onto YouTube to research these things, and there are people there just literally stamp padding them like that. One of the things I did find a bit disconcerting was obviously the way that you have evidence presented to yourselves over there in tribunals is slightly different to how we present evidence over here in the UK, in that the CV, my CV, had to be physically attached to the report, and the report was quite lengthy, and my CV is, well, now it's 7 pages, but there we go. But we knew it was definitely attached, and that was offered into evidence, and I sat in the witness box, well, I stood in the witness box, and then they brought me a chair to sit down, and then I was in the witness box for over 7 hours, and I only said 4 words, and those 4 words were, "My name is David Goodwin." 5 words. 5 words. At the end of the 7 hours, they decided that they couldn't accept my evidence because somehow my statement or my report and my CV had come detached. It can only have been detached by the people manning the tribunal. So that wasn't necessarily a good experience I had. I suppose nowadays people will turn around and say, well, obviously, you know, we've got automated systems and AFIS would help. And quite possibly, but I'm going to just show you just a couple of things. This is a sample ballot. Well, it's not a sample, it's an old ballot form that INEC sent through to us to see if we could trial using an AFIS. And this is a typical thumbprint. When I zoom in that thumbprint, there is no way on earth an AFIS will pick that up. No way. But what an AFIS will do is pick up all the background markings, all the small dots there that actually make up the word copy. So until the AFIS technology improves for this, and which you'd have thought by now it would have improved, until it improves, the best way to analyse election fraud is by doing manual comparisons. Just to make it interesting, when they were briefing the people to put their thumbprints on the ballot forms, there must have been someone there that said to them, look, take the book of ballot forms, ink your thumb up, turn the page, press it down onto the right one. This bloke, or whoever it was that did it, didn't quite understand the brief, so he voted for 3 different parties on the same thing. At least he was whilst I was doing this presentation this morning, as I say, I was only asked to do the talk on Saturday evening. I was running through some of the forms that we had for this AFIS test, and you can see the one on the left ends in 446, and the one on the right ends in 497. So they're not consecutive numbers. There's 51 forms different. But when I looked at it, our comparison bit, they're the same. They're the same. I only found that out this morning. And I know there's only 6 characteristics on there. And that's probably not even enough for a modern day AFIS. A modern day AFIS probably has a working threshold of about 8 characteristics. So therefore, a human can actually analyse poorer quality prints much lower down in numbers. That, ladies and gents, I'm just going to de-share my screen and come back to you. I was only asked for 10 minutes. It's probably now. It's only 12 o'clock here, and questions on that very short presentation, I would love to take them. But I wish you a fantastic conference. I'll probably be joining at some stage. Okay, don't think that's me. But it's strange watching myself on the screen now. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer them. If you don't have any questions, have a great lunch, if they're providing you with a lunch. And also have a great afternoon and tomorrow at the conference. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the short presentation. He has requested for a question. Does anybody have a question for him? Okay.
Thank you very much, David, for that presentation. I just want to ask whether after long hours of presentation in the court or the panel, and they rejected your presentation, was it because the presentation was not proper or part of another problem? Thank you.
No, the presentation was correct. We were packed them in, handed it in. However, at some stage over the 7 hours, it was separated, so therefore my evidence wasn't viable anymore. However, I was working with a retired Nigerian fingerprint expert and we did a joint report. When they released me at 6 o'clock at night, I've been in there since 11 o'clock in the morning. We went into the witness box next, and they didn't realise, they thought it was a separate evidence. But because his report was still attached to his CV, and my name was on his report as well, my evidence was therefore taken back into consideration, and both reports were accepted eventually. However, someone had physically taken them apart in order to try and
Okay, thank you very much for the presentation and for the answer. Thank you.
No worries. Have a good day.
Thank you, sir.